All right, kids, being the host of a YouTube channel the size of mine, a comedy channel, when I make fun of somebody who has more subscribers than I do, I'm usually told that I'm jealous or clout chasing or I'm hating. And I won't even argue that last one. I am a big hater. I'm glad others notice though. It's part of the brand. As for the jealousy and clout thing, that complaint will get replaced if I pick on someone my own size, and it will go away altogether if I had a larger following. Then I will be told that I'm punching down or bullying those with less than. With that said, let's punch up.
Why you gotta cover me up? I'm covering myself up, bitch. You can't tell us apart? That's fine, I got it. Take seatbelt off. Oh, that's me. That's you. But you can't tell us apart?
The Hodge Twins. These brothers have 3.5 million subscribers on one of their YouTube channels alone. They sell their own merchandise and are currently political commentators, amongst other topics, after spending years primarily in another category or genre. And before I continue, if what I just said seems familiar to my audience, that's because it's pretty much how I described the Cartier family at the beginning of this year. It's almost like there's a simple yet successful template for black people to copy off of in order to get paid through conservative media.
Years I would have my hand up towards the top of that side. You got your hand at the bottom? Is that you or is that me?
That's me, you dumbass.
That's you, right?
That's me.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Wait a minute. You can't tell us apart? Hold up, man. You know what? This is me right here, because I tend to look up in the sky and I'll be praying to Lord Gaines to give me some more gains. Shut the fuck up.
Today we're going to talk about how it's hard to tell the conservative twins apart from racist white right-wingers. Admittedly, I never watched the Hodges, but I was aware enough of what they were about that when I was getting braces a few years ago, and the assistant, the one who had a Trump and God We Trust card decaled, but the word Trump was bigger than God's. I'm sure it was hers, by the way. Anyways, she found out that I created content, and while making conversation, she asked me, like the Hodge twins? And I was gonna be like, no. But she was preparing to put sharp objects in my mouth. So along the way, we're not gonna focus on if what these two are currently doing is a grift. It clearly is, but theirs has to be studied. They could have been fitness influencers or comedians. However, they chose MAGA. Now, they shouldn't be dismissed. I mean, the vice president follows them on Twitter, yet whether they know it or not, or acknowledge it or not, they have lost their original audience.
How did the Hodge twins go from making fitness content, doing food reviews, reading people emails, just being the most funniest of all time to I hate niggas? I grew up watching their ass. I don't know if these niggas ate some damn green bean casserole or ate the damn wrong type of chicken, but nigga, what the fuck happened? I love my white people, but never not one time I said I love white people to the point where I hate niggas.
Let's get started. Keith and Kevin Hodge were born in September of 1975 and raised in Martinsville, Virginia with their older brother and older sister. They graduated from high school in 1992 and then enlisted in the Marine Corps. They got started on YouTube sometime around 2008 while still figuring out their careers. Once upon a time, the Hodge twins were voted as the 4th best fitness YouTube channel. They were invited to VidCon and deemed to be one of the 12 best and brightest black YouTubers by The Root. In learning about the Hodges, they've mentioned that they grew up poor and had to steal to eat, and they don't condone that behavior. A lot of what they have, they had to get it out the muscle.
We're coming back from lunch, and Kel's like, look, HR's here, they're gonna fire somebody. And right before they walked in the building, they stopped and looked at us. And then they walked back, and I was like, why the fuck are they looking at us like that?
Is this about the YouTube videos I'm doing? I said, yeah, I do videos, but I don't say where I'm at. There's no signage. Nobody knows where I'm at. I don't even tell people where I work at. What's the problem? I said, well, you're using some foul language. I was like, y'all calling me in over some foul language over a video that nobody knows where I'm at, and it's during my lunch break while I'm off the clock? So I lost it.
And since then, millions of people over the years have watched them go from this to this. And that's not even on some body shame type stuff. It's about how both of them are a pair of sunglasses away from looking like this Trumper meme. And just like how it's hard to tell exactly at which point gray wolves became dogs, I don't know when this wolf pack of two turned MAGA. Patriot this, American flag that. They say they used to be Democrats. 1776 is in their handle. They claim to be Christians and, as you're about to see, they are biracial.
58% of our DNA is from Africa. Told you. The motherland. I told you, black motherfuckers. Didn't I tell you?
The Hodge twins have taken a liking to their white side, whatever that means, and they're taking advantage of their proximity to whiteness. They made an appearance on the Charlie Kirk show a year or so ago, and he asked them about the left's obsession with race. And no matter how they answered, when I counted how many videos on their channel that I needed to get through before they brought up black folk, as of this recording, it's 1 and 2. There it is. When watching a report about the whites-only return to land community in Arkansas, this is how the Hodge twins responded.
If you just look at voting statistics, how ethnicities other than white vote, this country would be totally different. So I understand the fear of white people wanting to live in a country that's majority non-white. I understand that fear wholeheartedly because I don't want to live in a country that's majority non-white because it would systematically.
They reached out to that Return to the Land co-founder being interviewed, Eric Orwell, and said, I know your community is whites only, but could you make exceptions for us two Negroes? We're not even full sub-Saharan. We are 40% white. And both of their wives are Hispanic, I might add. Mexican specifically, I think. You should know that Eric replied, God bless the Hodge twins, but no. You can buy the house next to the community for sure, though. Keith and Cameron replied, fair enough. Then they invited him on their twins pod.
Like, you know Nick Fuentes, right?
Sure, yeah.
He brought up a very interesting point. He says, blacks, I hear this argument. It's because of our music. It's because of our culture. Well, a lot of white people listen to that same music, but we don't do the things that's detriment to our communities as blacks. Yeah, white people. That's why I say whites, I think it's a capacity thing. It's gotta be. It's like we stumbled across this word epigenetics. Mm-hmm. And I think that explains it.
I'm aware of the fact that neither of these two men were yoga instructors, but seeing how they bent themselves in order to not conclude that since white people listen to rap and don't commit the same level of violent crime, then it must not be about the music, right? And the mental gymnastics to not apply epigenetics to the children of colonialism, European Americans, those who call that non-continent home derived from Queen Elizabeth, Mussolini, Hitler, and King Leopold, just to name a few. This is 100 years war level of cognitive dissonance. And well, here's some confirmation bias.
Do you know that everybody thinks that if we snapped our fingers and you all disappeared tomorrow, everybody thinks our quality of life would go up?
Yeah, it would definitely go up. Definitely. Well, we're the third biggest demographic in the country, right? But we account for a majority of the violent crime. So instantly, if we was to, black people, our people, was to disappear overnight, you could almost close down a majority of the prisons in the country.
Presenting facts gets you nowhere with them. And that reminds me to remain consistent with something I've said a few times in the past. Don't debate these people. I know this because the Hodge twins debated the amazing Lucas not too long ago, and according to him, they won't release the tapes. Actually, watch what Lucas has to say about it while I leave myself a note to ask him if destroying them on their own show has been made public yet.
I'd ask them, hey, can you give me a stat for black people? And they're like, 1350, 13%. I'm like, okay, watch this. Can you give me a stat for white people? Well, if they commit 50% of the crime, that means they must commit the other rest, right? Right? They didn't have anything, bro. I'm like, that's the point. That right there. So then I go off listing, hey, well, white men, when it comes to crime, when it comes to per capita, when it comes to larceny, when it comes to trafficking, right? Which is what we're dealing with Epstein. When it comes to vandalism, when it comes to embezzlement, when it comes to, right? I'm listing a whole bunch of crimes per capita. that are white men, and they're getting upset. Oh, right, when it comes to bestiality, when it comes to, I'm like, oh, what's the bestiality? How many people is that? Right? Doesn't matter.
The amazing Lucas will go on to say that inflation, recessions, depressions, along with tariffs or price gouging were caused by black people. None of America's problems are rooted in black people. Not to mention that over-policing, under-policing, unjust laws, wrongful imprisonment, exonerations, none of this stuff matters to the Hodge Twins of the world. To them, it's black people can snap into a violent fit at any moment for any reason. White people walk around in constant fear of black people, with Myron Gaines co-signing them. Meanwhile, they have lost their original audience. The late great Carl Weathers don't even mess with them. After he died, they found out that he blocked them on Twitter. I know y'all ain't out here listening to people that Apollo Creed disagrees with. The bulk of what I just showed you happened within the last 365 days. All of this just to cozy up to Andrew Tate. And if you're up on their content like I am now, evidently, then you know that this checks out.
Didn't the Hodge twins admit to swapping out during intercourse with the women?
So since Keith found it easy to meet women, he would meet women, date them, take them back to his house, and do what grown folks do with them. And then he would act like he had to go to the bathroom or go to the kitchen for a snack or a glass of water. And then later he would come back and act like he was ready for round two. But really it would be Kevin coming in the second time to have with Keith's date.
Some people are saying that it was a prank and all made up, but they made those videos and published them, but they're now taken down off social media.
So they're into deleting their videos and not releasing their videos. Oh, and assault. Unless they were joking at the time, of course. They were or are comedians, I guess. Which leads me to what I've been stuck on since I started writing this episode. The Hodge Twins could have been fitness influencers or comics. They had their bags. Who is paying them to talk about something they know nothing about? Look, I've been falsely accused of getting paid to badmouth Candace Owens, and that was infuriating. And to be clear, there is a difference between me making fun of black conservatives, mostly on an individual basis, and them presenting blackness, black people, and black culture as inferior. Their apologists or defenders or supporters may give me it's both sides of the same coin argument, but it's two nickels next to one another in Uncle Scrooge's money vault. This grift has to be studied. Again, the question isn't if it's a grift, but what kind. Peep at what they left behind. I just hope that some folks can pick up where they left off.
It's kind of like In-N-Out, but better.
And I'm not qualified enough to say that they have no business in talking about politics, but they definitely have more education and experience in other areas. However, they would rather have online spats with Cat's Herd and have beef with Ben Shapiro while lying about something he didn't actually say when they posted it. All for an ideology that's literally going to spit on them like it did with Officer Tatum. Why? For what? They'll proclaim personal responsibility and not being a victim, but then will say they got their account deleted from TikTok due to professing conservative values. Let them talk long enough and they'll tell you that black people were more racist to them than any other race. And their newfound audience will tweet how the Hodge Twins are keeping it real. I don't think either of them truly believes in anything. They were called out about a post of theirs on Facebook celebrating an American military attack on Iran. Without going into details, when confronted about it, they said, "We don't personally post on our Facebook. We got a lady that runs it when we don't have time." And they're probably under the impression that they stand for truth, justice, and the American way, but no. It's just culture war nonsense.
Last week, Leah and her mom, Kylie, attended a concert for Leah's favorite musician, Youngblood. During the concert, Leah was lucky enough to get called up on stage by Youngblood and invited to help perform one of his songs. That's awesome, right? Like, that is such a cool core memory for an 8-year-old to have with their mom and their favorite musician. It's honestly the kind of experience a kid would cherish forever. Or at least it would be if it weren't for the absolute psychopath grifters that are the Hodge Twins. Because those chose, for some unknown reason to take an image from the video that Leah's mom had posted just so they could blast it out to their millions of followers and falsely accuse 8-year-old Leah of being transgender.
It's been more than 2 months since that little girl's mother created a GoFundMe, and I don't think it's reached its goal of $6,000. Shame on leftists and progressives for not boosting it, and conservatives, because had this been a situation where a racist got fired for being a racist, they would have more than $100,000 by now. Please donate if you have the means to do so. A link will be in the description below. I don't enjoy making this kind of content. And when I've made episodes like these in the past about, say, the Cartier family, the comment section has brought up the Hodge Twins. I have a problem with white people watching black people get at each other until I realized that this is how the Hodges primarily make a living. Let's draw that distinction. As I currently understand it, the Hodge Twins were kind of known for saying, it's just advice, do whatever the F you want to do. And in that same vein, if you want to make gains and get paid, I mean, okay, me too. We're not going to cover each other up, and I plan on being able to recognize myself. So we're going to be all right.